This old guy DIY video has to do with fabricating a relay for the starter on a 1986 Kubota L2550. So I started with these relays from Amazon. You see it's a 5-pack of 12 volt DC, 40-30 amp, 5-pin waterproof relays. And this is what the relay looks like when you receive it. And right here is the key to the wire pinout. You can see that they're nice heavy duty wires. Some are 16 gauge, the others are 12. But then for our application, rather than spend $20 or $25 on a relay specifically for this vehicle, I took that little tiny sheet that came with the relay and I wrote the information down here. So you can see the pin numbers and the various colors and then the size of the wire that goes with them. And for wiring up the Kubota, we take the blue one, and that's going to the starter positive. So if I come over here, the blue goes to a 5/16 ring terminal, and then the white is going to plug into the black and white trigger wire that's on the Kubota now that currently plugs into the solenoid on the starter. And when we look at the white one, you can see up here that one's a size 16 wire. So we come down to the white, and that one takes a male Spade terminal. And then our third one is black. That goes to the ground on the tractor frame. So in my case, when I held the relay there, I didn't have enough length to get to the tractor frame where I want to tie it up. So I just put these Spade connectors here, so in the future, if I ever need to take this out for any reason, I can simply disconnect this connection and then pull these things out, plug the wire back in for the trigger, and everything will go the way it's supposed to. And then we can see that the red one here is a female Spade connector, and that's the one that goes to the starter solenoid. So if you buy one of these relays and you choose, rather than spending $20 or $25 on a pre-made set, you're going to use one of these for your Kubota, the way the sequence goes is the white one ends up with a male Spade fitting, the blue ends up with a 5/16 ring terminal, the yellow we're not using in this application, the red gets the female Spade fitting, and then the black wire goes to whatever type of fitting you want to attach it to a nearby ground. So I'll take these things, and when I initially started, the problem that I had is that when the weather is cold, and sometimes when the weather is warm, the tractor just would not start. So I checked the battery, and I had 12.6 volts the other day when it was 9 degrees here in Michigan at the battery, and I had 12.6 volts going from the positive on the starter to the frame near the starter. Yet when I came down to the trigger wire, I had only 10.4 volts. And as I understand it, the trigger wire, before making it to the starter solenoid, actually goes from the battery through the safety switch for the PTO and the safety switch for the neutral indicator. So over the last 30 years, this thing has apparently built up enough resistance or had enough corrosion in the wires that where I was getting 12.6 with the direct feed from the battery to the starter, I only had 10.4 volts when I ran a multimeter. I put the positive at the trigger wire coming from the tractor, which would have been over here, and put the negative to the block. And at that point, I only had 10.4 volts. So what this relay effectively does is these two big wires that you see, this one will go to the starter, the blue one goes right to the starter, and this red one is now going to go to the starter solenoid, and this little white guy is the trigger. So the way the tractor is set up, the 12 volt, or in my case 10.4 volt signal, comes from the trigger. It's supposed to energize the solenoid on the starter, and sometimes it just doesn't have enough ass to make it kick over. So what this relay does is skips that whole circuit with the safety switch on it, and basically we have a direct line here from the starter to the solenoid, and this little guy is just the trigger. So from what I read, if it gets more than 9 volts, this little thing causes that circuit to make in the relay, and when it is energized, the voltage runs directly from the starter voltage, 12.6 volts, right to the solenoid. So it eliminates the opportunity for whatever happens that causes the current draw or the loss of voltage in that whole circuit on this 30-some-year-old tractor. It's easy to make your own relay for, well, it was $5 for the relay because I got 5 of them here for 25 bucks. And then I have about $3 in assorted spade fittings. But for $8, you can make your own, get your tractor back in action rather than spending 22 or 25 on the factory-made version just because they say, oh, the fittings are there, so there's no opportunity for you to screw this up. So anyway, I hope this idea helps you, and have a great day. It's about 20 degrees today. I'm here at the tractor, ready to install the relay, and I'll show you what the thing sounds like when you go to start it before the relay is installed. Now I have the relay in place, so I'll show you how it sounds when it tries to start with the relay. So you can see the relay makes a difference, and in the last year and a half before I understood what was happening here, I replaced the starter. You can see that was replaced in 9 of 21. I put a new battery in, put a new belt here on the alternator. I saw that I had over 13 volts coming off the alternator when the thing was running, so I knew that was good. But I didn't understand that this little black and white wire has to bring the voltage to fire that solenoid. So to recap, this black and white wire goes to the white one on this particular switch, or this particular relay. The black is the ground, and I chose to ground it up here at the base of the alternator. And then the blue wire goes to the bottom of the starter, and the red wire becomes a new trigger wire. So I'll grab a couple of zip ties and button this thing up, and then I'll be done. I'll have the relay wired up with some zip ties. That should be a fine place for it to hang. When I put this side panel on over here, all that'll be tucked in. An opportunity to get hit by a stick or whatever. So I'll fire it up one more time, and what used to be a hard starter for the last 15 years apparently isn't anymore. And in the ongoing battle of man versus tractor, today it's man 1, tractor 0. Thank you for watching.